And so we're going to close out the 12th chapter by just going back to the questions we've been circling around for the last few Mishnayot, with the exception of the daughters who need maintenance, the question of the maintenance of the widow after the death of the husband. So we are at the end of, we're at the end of the tractate, we're at the end of the life cycle. And actually the next chapter, the 13th chapter, which is the last chapter, will bring a whole bunch of disconnected halachot. So perhaps this is really the last chapter of the Masachet in some organic form. And so we're dealing with the status of the widow after the death of the husband. Almanah she'amra yefshar lazuz mi beit bali. So a widow who says, I don't want to move out of my husband's house. So she's a widow. She wants to stay in her house. She's not going to collect. So, and we'll see the implications are clear pretty much. She's not going to, if you like, she could collect her ketubah and move on, but she's not going to collect the ketubah and move on. She's going to stay there, and then she'll be entitled to maintenance from the estate. So, almonah. A widow who says, look, I can't move out of my husband's house. The heirs can't tell her, go to your father's house and we'll maintain you. They can't say, look, you move out and we'll send you money. They can't throw her out. Ayla. Zanin or Talaveit Bala, but they have to maintain her in her husband's house. Vinonila Mador Lafik Voda, and they give her a residence according to her honor. And that might mean that she has servants and help and clothes and so on. She has to be maintained in the style to which she has become accustomed. But they can say to her, Amra Yefshar Lazuz mi beit Abba. If she said, I've got no desire to move from my father's house, so she wants to stay in her father's house rather than staying in her husband's house, Yucholina Yorshin Lomarla, the heirs can say to her, if you stay with us, you've got muzonot, you've got maintenance. Ve'im ein at etzleinu ein lach muzonot. If you don't stay with us, you'll receive no maintenance, i.e., you're going to be maintained from the father's house. And the Gemara sort of discusses why this should be, because she's entitled to maintenance wherever she is. But the assumption in the Gemara is that the marginal cost of her staying in the house of the heirs, having the mother-in-law kind of in a spare bedroom, the marginal cost there is small. Whereas the total cost of maintaining, if you like, one single person in a different house is significant. And there's a suggestion in the Gemara that, they will just pay her essentially the marginal cost if she had stayed in her father's house, rather than the full maintenance cost of one person. Im haytato enet, mipnei shehi yalda v'hein yiladin. If she claimed that, she didn't want to move out of her father's house because she's young, right? And they're young. And so maybe got a young bride here. At that point, they do give her maintenance. Zanin or tavahi b'veit avita. At that point, they maintain her while she lives in the house of her father. But it seems as if the child bride's got more rights to live with her father than the adult widow. Now, as long as she lives in her father's house, she can actually collect her ketubah at any time. So she's under no pressure to collect it. She's under no threat of losing it if she doesn't collect it. And of course, as long as she doesn't collect it, she's still entitled to some maintenance. V'chol zman shehi b'veit ba'ala gova ketubata ad 25 shana. But as long as she lives in her husband's house, she can only recover her ketubah for the first 25 years. So there's a time limit on the ketubah. If she's living in her husband's house, she's getting maintained, she's disposing of his affairs. Somehow there's a horizon on the ketubah. And the Mishnah, okay, we'll see this is according to the Rabbi Meir, gives one possible reason. She has a 25-year limit on taking her ketubah. Over 25 years, she's got sufficient opportunities to give shita'aseh tova, to give favors is translated by Safaria, to give presents. So if you're living in the neighborhood for 25 years, you're going to be, bringing food around to your neighbors, maybe when they suffer a loss, or maybe on festivals and holidays. You're going to be, in other words, taking money out of the estate for reasons which are not, strictly speaking, your own maintenance. And the Mishnah, at least according to Rabbi Meir, we're going to learn Divrei Rabbi Meir, Shema Mishum Rabban Gamliel. All this whole hypothesis is from Rabbi Meir in the name of Rabban Gamliel. This hypothesis seems to be that, okay, she's living there for 25 years. At that point, she must have taken enough out of the estate other than her maintenance. Seems like her maintenance doesn't include gifts to neighbors. She must have taken enough out of the estate to have essentially received the value of her ketubah. And that's the reason why there's this 25-year limit. Now, the rabbis are going to disagree. The Chachamim omrem, kol zman shehi beveit ba'ala gova ketubah le'olam. The sages say the opposite way round. As long as she lives in her husband's house, she can collect at any time. And they have an assumption that maybe there's some kind of reluctance to leave the husband's house, so we're not going to put a time limit on her. But but if she's living in her father's house, she has a time limit of 25 years. She can only collect for 25 years. And the Gemara reasons that this is a real time limit, in the sense, if she's living outside the house, she hasn't collected the ketubah, she's essentially forfeited it. You could say she's forfeited it because she hasn't claimed it. Her silence implies that she doesn't need it anymore. And the Mishnah concludes with a similar issue related to her heirs. Let's just keep reading the end of the Mishnah. Maybe we'll understand what this issue of silence is. Meita, maybe she died. Well, remember that the heirs inherit her ketubah, her children inherit her ketubah. Meita, she died. Yorsheha maskirin ketubata ad esrim v'chamesh shana. If she died, her heirs must maskirin. Maskirin literally means to remind. It's translated by Kahati as invoke, and that's why I'm giving you invoke here, but it's a puzzling statement. Meita yorsheha maskirin ketubata ad esrim v'chamesh shana. If she dies, her inheritors have to remind or invoke her ketubah within 25 years. And does that mean they have to claim it within 25 years? Or does it mean they have to just, if you like, note their interest within 25 years? Well, we're not clear, and there are different ways of reading the Mishnah, but there's clearly something about a 25-year boundary which is related to silence being equal to forfeiture. That seems to be, if you like, the issue at the end of the Mishnah and at the end of the 12th chapter, that it's not possible to stay silent forever. She can only stay silent, and the heirs can only stay silent for 25 years.